Playoff basketball isn't just about skill, it's about grit, determination, and those game-changing moments when one player refuses to back down. For the Indiana Fever, that player was Lexie Hull. On a night when the Atlanta Dream were desperate to keep their season alive, Hull stepped onto the court and delivered a defensive masterclass that stunned both fans and commentators. What we witnessed wasn't just defense, it was dominance. Every possession mattered, every shot contested, every lane clogged. Hull didn't just guard her opponent. She dismantled Atlanta's rhythm, forcing turnovers, altering shots, and silencing scoring threats that had carried the Dream all year. And as the final buzzer sounded, the story wasn't just that the Indiana Fever advanced to the semifinals, it was how they got there. A young, hungry team clawing their way past expectations, led in spirit and fight by a player who refused to let the Dream dictate the game. This is the story of that incredible showdown. The strategies, the big plays, the emotional highs and lows, and, of course, the lockdown defense that sealed the Fever's ticket to the semifinals. Setting the stage. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The Indiana Fever, a team many counted out early in the season, had clawed their way into the playoffs with momentum on their side. On the other end, the Atlanta Dream, hungry, talented, and eager to prove they belonged, stood in their path. This was more than just a playoff matchup. It was a clash of rising franchises, two young teams building identities, looking to establish themselves as contenders. Every possession, every run, every adjustment carried the weight of not just a game, but a statement. The atmosphere inside the arena was electric. Fever fans roared, sensing something special. Dream supporters matched that energy, refusing to let their team go quietly. For players, the noise faded away, leaving only the urgency of the moment. And in the middle of this cauldron of pressure, one player was about to step forward, not with flashy scoring, but with suffocating defense. Lexie Hull wasn't the biggest name on the floor, but she was about to have the biggest impact. The game plan. Heading into the matchup, analysts agreed, the Atlanta Dream's biggest weapon was their perimeter scoring. Their guards could attack off the dribble, hit contested jumpers, and create chaos in transition. If the Fever wanted to win, they had to disrupt that flow. That's where Lexie Hull came in. Coach Christie's side's knew Hull's energy, anticipation, and relentless defensive motor could change the game. The assignment was simple on paper, brutal in execution. Shut down Atlanta's backcourt. From the opening tip, you could see the strategy unfold. Hull picked up full court, forced the Dream to work for every inch. She denied passing lanes, cut off drives, and turned simple plays into exhausting battles. Every dribble felt contested, every decision rushed. The Fever weren't just defending, they were dictating. By throwing Hull at the Dream's most dangerous weapons, they disrupted timing and rhythm. Suddenly, the Atlanta offense that usually flowed with confidence was stuttering, hesitant, second-guessing itself. The blueprint was clear. Defense first, force turnovers, and let the Fever's own young stars capitalize on the other end. Hull was the anchor of that plan, and she was executing it perfectly. One player was about to step forward, not with flashy scoring, but with suffocating defense. Lexie Hull wasn't the biggest name on the floor, but she was about to have the biggest impact. The game plan. Heading into the matchup, analysts agreed, the Atlanta Dream's biggest weapon was their perimeter scoring. Their guards could attack off the dribble, hit contested jumpers, and create chaos in transition. If the Fever wanted to win, they had to disrupt that flow. That's where Lexie Hull came in. Coach Christie's side's knew Hull's energy, anticipation, and relentless defensive motor could change the game. The assignment was simple on paper, brutal in execution. Shut down Atlanta's backcourt. From the opening tip, you could see the strategy unfold. Hull picked up full court, forced the Dream to work for every inch. She denied passing lanes, cut off drives, and turned simple plays into exhausting battles. Every dribble felt contested, every decision rushed. The Fever weren't just defending, they were dictating. By throwing Hull at the Dream's most dangerous weapons, they disrupted timing and rhythm. Suddenly, the Atlanta offense that usually flowed with confidence was stuttering, hesitant, second-guessing itself. Lexie Hull's defensive impact. Defense doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but in this game, Lexie Hull's presence was impossible to ignore. Possession after possession, Hull locked in on her assignment. She forced Atlanta's leading scorer into tough, off-balance shots. She fought through screens, never giving an inch of space. When the Dream tried to reset, Hull read the passing lanes like a book, deflecting and disrupting. The most telling stat? Atlanta's guards, normally efficient and confident, shot well below their season average. Every missed jumper, every turnover, every rushed possession had Hull's fingerprints all over it. The turning point. Every playoff game has that moment when the tide shifts, when the energy in the building tilts unmistakably toward one team. For the Fever, that moment came midway through the third quarter. Atlanta had cut the lead to just 3 points, momentum swinging their way. The Dream pushed the pace, trying to ignite a run. But as their star guard drove to the basket, Lexie Hull was waiting. She stripped the ball clean, sprinted down the floor, and drew a foul in transition. The play itself was just 2 points, but the impact was massive. The crowd erupted, the Fever bench leapt to its feet, and suddenly the Dream looked rattled. Hull's steal wasn't just a defensive stop, it was a momentum breaker. Teammates rising. While Lexie Hull was the defensive anchor, her teammates made sure the effort didn't go to waste. Aaliyah Boston dominated the paint, using her size and skill to control rebounds and finish inside. Kelsey Mitchell provided the scoring punch, knocking down timely jumpers to keep the Fever ahead. But more than the box score, it was the synergy that stood out. Hull's defense set the tone, and everyone followed. Guards pressured the ball, bigs contested every shot at the rim, and the Fever played like a unit determined to advance. On offense, the team's chemistry was undeniable. Ball movement was crisp, spacing was intentional, and players trusted each other to make the right decisions. Each time Atlanta threatened to claw back, someone on Indiana stepped up, whether it was a clutch three, a hustle play, or a defensive stand. Atlanta's struggles. For the Dream, the night was a frustrating battle. Their stars, normally so reliable, found themselves smothered at every turn. Every time they tried to create separation, Hull was there. Every time they looked for an easy bucket, Indiana's defense collapsed on them. Turnovers piled up, missed shots mounted, and frustration was written all over their faces. The Dream's coaching staff tried adjustments, screens, isolations, quick ball movement, but nothing could consistently free their guards from Hull's grip. Even when Atlanta managed a brief scoring run, it felt like a struggle. Their offense lacked rhythm, their confidence shaken by the constant pressure. And in the playoffs, hesitation can be deadly. The final push. With the clock winding down, the Fever knew they were close. But close doesn't count in the playoffs, you have to finish. Lexie Hull made sure of it. In the fourth quarter, she continued to harass Atlanta's guards, forcing late-game turnovers that killed any chance of a comeback. She grabbed key rebounds, closed out shooters, and never let the Dream breathe. On the other end, Indiana executed with poise. Kelsey Mitchell hit dagger shots, Aaliyah Boston controlled the glass, and the Fever turned defense into offense, stretching the lead beyond reach. Hull's leadership. What made Hull's performance so remarkable wasn't just the defense, it was the leadership behind it. She wasn't the highest scorer. She wasn't the biggest name on the roster. But in a high-stakes playoff game, she showed the kind of poise and determination that elevates a team. Her communication on defense kept teammates locked in. Her hustle plays inspired energy. Her refusal to back down against tough matchups sent a message: we're not going home tonight. Leadership isn't always about speeches or box scores. Sometimes it's about doing the dirty work, the gritty plays that tilt the balance of a game. Hull embodied that spirit, and her team followed her example. Indiana Fever's bright future. Advancing to the semifinals wasn't just a win, it was a statement about where this franchise is heading. The Fever's young core, anchored by Aaliyah Boston and supported by players like Hull and Mitchell, showed that they can compete with anyone. They're not just a rebuilding team anymore, they're contenders, growing in confidence with every game. What makes the future so exciting is the balance. They have offensive firepower, defensive grit, and a culture of unselfish play. Add in the experience of this playoff run, and the Fever are no longer underdogs. They're a team on the rise, one the league has to take seriously. Legacy of the game. In years to come, fans may not remember every stat line from this game, but they'll remember the feeling,